We have Tales from the Shadows. This has 14 adventures, a bunch of maps, hooks. We've got backgrounds. We've got encounters. We've got all kinds of things for the Dungeon Master.
Absolutely. Tales from the Shadows is for levels 1 to 8. It is 14 separate adventures on the plane of Shadow and using Shadow magic and the Fae, but you can pull those 14 adventures apart. They don't require one another, but there's an object called the Shadow Grimoire, which shows up in the very first adventure called The Night Messengers. It's a little bit of a MacGuffin, but it's more than that because it's a magical book and there's an assassination in the first adventure of a scholar that kicks the whole thing off. And if you do run the whole sequence as a campaign, it fits together very neatly. If you don't want to run it as a campaign, if you're like, my character's already 5th level, pick up there. And the Shadow Grimoire might show up as a major plot point, or it might just be loot, right? But I thought the design was extremely clever because of the way the writers, and I think there are about 10 of them, each decided to weave in the Shadow Grimoire or leave it out. So the theme is you are visiting the Shadow Realm, right? You are starting in whatever campaign you're in. Night comes, the moon rises, the Fae call, the Wild Hunt is out there, and you get sucked into matters of the Dusk Queen, which is one of the Fae lords and ladies, but you don't know it at first. It's her book. And you're just on an item hunt, and you keep meeting stranger and stranger people, right? Like initially, you meet a bear folk. And depending on, where you're playing, you may or may not be familiar with the bear folk, but he shows up in his hat. He says, I'm looking for this package, help me out. And you're like, okay, bear folk, maybe kind of new. By the time you've done like adventure number 4 or 5, you're visiting the Court of Midnight Teeth, where the weird gnomes dwell. And they've abandoned it because the weird gnomes are precognitive, they have great foresight, they know what's coming, something bad's coming to the court. And there's like 3 of the gnomes left. There's like the sommelier, the gardener, and the groom, and like the ones who stick around because they feel they have to. So you're suddenly stuck in with gnomish royalty, or gnomish servants of royalty. And then before you know it, like there's a vast treasure. Peltry Rise is like 7th or 8th level. It's more toward the end here. There's an enormous treasure buried under some white trees on a hilltop. That's what you're told. And it's all a lie. But the real treasure is kind of better than what your quest giver is actually hiring you for. There's a ghost you need to save in a city in Shadow. There's a time travel adventure. They're all a little wild and woolly in the style of Shadow Magic and Fey adventure. This isn't dungeon crawling.
Yeah.
It's also not really courtly intrigue, right? It's high adventure.
But you're still getting like 28 full color maps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's 28 full color maps in high resolution. Good Lord, these things are big maps. You're getting tokens and icons of all the creatures and NPCs. And there's some lovely little tables, like the time travel one has a wonderful table for temporal distortion.
Oh, perfect.
Right? So there's all these sorts of tools and supporting elements. You get multiple hooks for each adventure. If the first hook doesn't work, there's another, right? Sometimes there's even a third hook to get that adventure running. I mean, there's a ton of monsters here as well from Tome of Beasts 1.
Okay.
So we talked about that a while ago, and those creatures appear here. So
this is a great adventure to like make access of Tome of Beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They connect.